and molting fur. Not a story, not a wish, rushing up an empty dish. Still it all seems like a blur. Bye bye baby, all good times, storming like 2 years before. Guess I'm making my traditions, but still I'm crying out for more. Finally finding my religion, wet enough I might go fishing, drying up by near the door. Call it casting out of my
James Kalm, and we are on Eldridge Street. We're gonna try to run in here to the MIGUEL Abreu Gallery, and we're gonna slip in here and see an exhibition by Pieter Schoolwerth titled Model as Painting. Stay tuned. Well, I've never been to this space before, so this is all a revelation for me. I'll just come in and take a quick walk through, and then I'll go back and get the gallery list so we can talk about some of the dimensions and the media. Well, I bumped into an artist and critic. Oh my God, speaking of artists and critics, there he is. The great Walter Robinson. Hey Walter. Well, we'll start out taking a look at this piece. This is Model for Waiting Room 2017 enamel on wood. And, well, I was pedaling down Orchard Street and I popped into an ancillary space, and they had 3 or 4 of these paintings, and well, I talked to the docent, the lady at the desk, and looked through the listings, and I noticed that there were probably about 20 more paintings than they had there, and then I found out that the show actually starts here. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to get the second part of the show in or not. But I was looking at the work, and I was kind of fascinated with the way that Pieter is kind of melding a lot of different techniques, ideas, and ways of making paintings. This piece is titled Student Center Number 2, 2017, Oil Acrylic and Glycine Print on Canvas. Well, we'll talk a little bit. This is a good one that we can look at. So, what Pieter's got here is he's got a fairly large canvas, 70 by 58 inches, and it looks like he's maybe made or even used Photoshop or something to create this 3-dimensional image. Then that has been printed onto the canvas, and he's captured the little pixelations. Then on top of that, he's cut stencils that fill in some of these flat shapes, and then he's put in some very nice textural brush strokes over that. We'll take a little glance at the video. Okay, looks like he's done a lot of, what do they call it, the blue screen work here. Okay, well, we could watch this for the next 2 hours. So these are very sophisticated, and they're operating on a lot of various painterly and perceptual levels. Actually, I saw one of these at the other space. I like the little studies. These are not quite as highly mediated, so they're a little more rugged. And well, I remember going to a James Rosenquist retrospective at the Guggenheim and thinking that his collages and his studies were actually maybe more interesting than the finished pieces. This is titled Waiting Room Number 00, Mixed Media and Collage, 24 by 18 inches. And I like the way that he's laid this film study over the corner there. Well, we're going to keep moving. It's getting late. This is a large piece. Waiting Room Number 2, oil acrylic and glassy print on canvas. Well, when I went by the other place, I kind of looked in through the window, and from a distance, I was thinking that these were all reliefs. And I actually had to walk up pretty close and eyeball them before I could start to decipher the various trompe-l'oeil elements. So I think what's interesting is that we're not only playing with the photographic, the digital world, but we're trying to kind of insinuate the nasty kind of materialistic part of oil painting into it. This is one of the reliefs. I actually call this extremely high relief, or maybe even wall sculpture. I'm sure Frank Stella would call this a painting. This is model for withdrawal, enamel on wood. The other thing I would say is that Pieter's got a very highly developed sense of craftsmanship. Looks like this is all spray painted here. Enamel on wood. Now, in certain ways, this is like an extreme extrapolation of a Jean Arp wood relief. The other thing is that I think it's interesting to think about figurative painting and how a lot of people debate about whether you can do anything new with figurative painting, or whether figurative painting has pretty much run its course. It's an interesting installation here. Well, it's not really clear from the gallery guide list, but I believe this piece is titled Casting Agent, or Model for the Casting Agent. And again, we got to kind of look at some of the elements that Pieter's working with here. So we've got the silhouettes of the figures that have been cut out and relaid. We've got the reliefs. So there's a kind of a color sensibility to Pieter's palette that it makes me think of the Imes design, kind of California in the mid-late 60s. It's a pretty sophisticated relief. Well, as I said, I haven't been to this space before, but wow, this is maybe one of the most impressive venues I've seen on the Lower East Side. Yeah, you know, it is very tricky to try to figure out exactly what level we're looking at. Are we looking at the actual slabs of paint? Are we looking at photographs of slabs of paint? Are we looking at photographs of interiors? As your eye kind of drifts around the canvas, you're constantly moving forward, slipping into reverse, backing up, moving forward, side to side. It's a lot of fun. We'll take a look at these drawings, works on paper, actually called mixed media and collage. It would be interesting to know whether or not he's using these as plans, designs for the paintings. And, well, if you're a student center, if you're a good forensic artist analyzer, you could probably get in there and figure out how he's dividing his planes, keeping certain silhouettes intact, chopping up other ones. Actually, I do. I like the spontaneity and a little more ruggedness, the greater urgency. Also, I think the colors on these are more varied. It's got a little wider palette. I don't know, I can't look at something like that and not think about why is the American home so much different? I don't know what the Richard Hamilton collage. I guess this would be underground. Okay, so we start with the photograph of the interior, and that's kind of the basic layer in there. And he's got other things that he's cutting out and collaging in the forms. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I like these kind of paste ups. We'll just walk around this, I guess you would call this a sculpture. And we've got our best IKEA hardware on there. Although I have to say, I kind of like, you know, this. It's well crafted, but it's not anal retentive. You know, there's still a certain amount of do-it-yourself, funky, built-in-the-garage techniques. Oh, okay, I like the sweater. Coloristically, that could be the theme for a lot of this. Okay, so I like the colored steps. It's like the little painted puzzles. This is waiting room number 3. Well, Peter's got to be a very busy guy, or he's got a lot of people helping him, because there is a lot of work in the show, and yeah, it's very sophisticated, and so there's a lot of planning and designing that goes along with this. Okay, I'm going to try to do my 5-second hold. See, these are a nice pair here. I think this is waiting room number 3. Well, one of the other things I was going to say is that as an oil painter, I've always been someone that enjoyed the physicality of the paint surface, and well, I've even spent time studying the various influences of contemporary painting that go back to this kind of juicy paint surface. This is titled Fuck Me Number 7. So we missed the first 6 of them. I guess they didn't work out. I don't know. Anyway, I was at the Phillips collection a couple of years ago, and they had an exhibition of George Braque paintings. But these were the kind of the after he got out of the war, out of World War I. When he started getting more involved in the texture of paint, and they actually had analyzed some of his paintings and looked at the chemicals and various things that he'd added in, like sand and gravel and wood chips and coffee grounds and all the other stuff. And then they actually had a gallery of other painters that were also kind of carrying on the material side of the paint, and I thought maybe one of the most brilliant of those, maybe one of the most brilliant French artists of the French painters of the 20th century was Jean Dubuffet, and he ended up influencing several generations of wonderful painters, Cobra, Carl Appel, Nicholas de Stagia, people like that. And, well, I would actually say that there's a group of young painters in New York over the last maybe 15 or 20 years that are reviving, I guess what I would call more of a materialistic side of painting. It's another big painting. New Wave Model in Red, 2016. Oil acrylic and glassy print on canvas, 90 by 120 inches, so that's 7.5 by 10 feet. As for the contemporary painters, this is 2016, that are carrying along and developing their own ideas about material painting. I could mention people like Jonathan Lasker and Trudy Benson. There are a couple. Maybe Terry Winters. I think Pieter could sort of fit into that, but in a more mediated, conceptual way. Well, I like this piece just because this palette that he has in the kind of simplified color keyed composition is great on this pale vermilion background. It's going to take a lot of coats of white paint to cover that. Oh, this might be one of the more painterly of the pieces that are in the show.
Come on now, everybody stop. I'm leaving soon, I've had enough.
James Kalm, coming to you from the MIGUEL ABREU Gallery, 88 Eldridge Street. And we're looking at Pieter Schoolwerth, Models as Painting. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
What's your name?
I'm Robert Leslie.
Robert Leslie.
Yeah.
Thanks, Robert.
Forgot the lyrics from my own song there at the end.